A very warm welcome to all of you, my dear students. I am Rashmi, lecturer AD Government Girls Center College, Gorakhpur. Before I start my class, I want to ask one question, that what is beauty? Do you think that when we start thinking about beauty, some conceptions come to our mind, that it may be about the dress, the style, the way we talk? These are the things which may be included in beauty. What I mean to say, that when we start thinking about beauty, we start at the same moment we start thinking about the physical appearance. But my dear children, have you ever thought some questions like what is beauty? And the second question may be that why some people are called beautiful, why on the other hand some people are called ugly? What is the criteria that we have fixed? On the basis of that, we decide that certain persons are beautiful and some persons are not. Is the conception of beauty is about the physical beauty, or is about the appearance or the feeling? So these are the questions, the answers of which we will find here in this poem. The name of the poem is The True Beauty by Thomas Carlyle. Now, before I start the poem, first of all, we should have a very clear picture of the objectives of the poem. What are we going to get today? The first thing, to have the deep understanding about the real beauty. As I told you right now, that what is beauty? Generally we have the conception that beauty is about physical appearance. But here we will find some deep sense of beauty, and my dear children, I hope you will inspire with the thought of the poet. The second, to enhance the vocabulary treasure. As we read the stanza, we find some difficult words, and knowing the meaning of those difficult words, naturally it will enhance the vocabulary treasure. The third thing is that to know the explanation of the poem. As you know that 8 marks are allotted for the explanation. So this is very important to have the knowledge of the explanation of the poem. Now, to be familiar with central idea of the poem, we will also know about the central idea of the poem, as you must know that 6 marks are allotted for the central idea, and this poem is very important for the examination. To find out figures of speech contained in the poem, figures of speech, these are the very important ingredient to the poetry. So we will find out some figures of speech present in the stanzas. So this was all about the objectives that we are going to ponder over. Next, it is about the poet. When we think about a poem, naturally a curiosity emerges that who is the poet of this poem. So here we will talk about Thomas Carlyle. Birth 1595. He was born in the year 1595, West Wickham, United Kingdom. Death 1639, London, United Kingdom. And very important thing about him is that Thomas Carlyle was one of the best cavalier poets of the Caroline period. And I hope you must have understood that cavalier poets mean a group of poets who used to write in the favor of the King Charles I during the age 1625 to 49. The name of the age was Caroline period. Now we talk about his education. Corpus Christ College, Oxford, and at the Middle Temple, London, where he studied. Next, he wrote a number of graceful songs and lyrics. The most famous poem is The Rapture. It is the best creation. A large portion of his poetry is short in length, and even his most famous poem, The Rapture, contains only 166 lines. And his poems are notable for their ease of language. You find a very simple language and a skillful use of imagery. The best use of imagery we can find in his poems. So this was all about Thomas Carlyle. Now we will move to the about the poem, and here we have this poem is a famous lyric of Thomas Carlyle. My dear children, pay attention to the word lyric. Lyric means a poem in a form of a song that is supposed to be sung in the accompaniment of any musical instrument. So it is short and we call it lyric. That is musical in nature. Number of stanzas, it has only 2 stanzas and 6 lines each. Each stanza has 6 lines. The first stanza, he describes about the physical beauty. That is the description of the physical beauty. Second stanza, appreciation of the spiritual beauty. He talks about the spiritual beauty. Spiritual beauty means the inner beauty, not the external beauty. So the poet praises spiritual beauty and condemns physical beauty. Figures of speech, we find simile, metaphor and personification here, and these are the figures of speech which have been used beautifully in the poem. So this was all about the background of the poem. Now we will move to the stanza first. Stanza first. First of all, I will read the stanza, then there are some difficult words. You can find here the meaning of those difficult words. After that, I will explain. He that loves a rosy cheek or a coral lip admires, or from star-like eyes doth seek, or from star-like eyes doth seek, full to maintain his fires. As old time makes these decay, so his flames must waste away. So this was the stanza first. Now we have some difficult words, as we find in the choral, a gem which is red, admire, praise, fuel, cause to burn, decay, damage, flame, spark, and here it refers to the intensity of love. Now I am going to explain this stanza. Here in this poem, in this stanza particularly, the poet talks about the love which is based on rosy cheek, or the lip which are as red as the gem called coral, or from the eyes which are as shiny as stars. So these are the symbols of physical appearance, and a person whose love is based on these physical appearance. So a person who loves for his beloved for the rosy cheek or the coral lips or the starry eyes, that love is not evergreen. Because these are the basic requirements, these are the things which are the basic requirements for the sustenance of his love. And with the passage of time, what happens? As old time makes these decay, when his beloved gets old, all these physical appearance vanish. What happens at that time? That with the passage of time, all these things starts fading away, and the flame of the love also goes in vain. So this is a very beautiful stanza, and my dear children, it is also very inspiring too, because if we think about it in a very deep manner, if we think about it, if we ponder over it, we find that most of the persons, their love is based on these things. What I mean to say, that their love is based on the physical appearance. And what happens when these symbols of beauty, you can say, these symbols of beauty with the passage of time vanishes. When it vanishes, there is nothing. So the love is also dies. So this was all about the stanza 1. I hope you must have understood. Now we come to the stanza 2. This is very important stanza. My dear children, pay attention to this stanza. Whatever theme has been delivered in this stanza, the theme is very important, and this stanza particularly contains a very deep sense, and I hope you must imbibe the theme of this stanza too. Now come to the stanza 2. There are some difficult words and meaning. First of all, I am going to read this stanza. But a smooth and steadfast mind, gentle thoughts and calm desires, hearts with equal love combined, kindle never dying fires. Where these are not, I despise lovely cheeks or lips or eyes. First of all, look at the word meaning. Smooth, here smooth means constant. Although the meaning of the smooth is even surface, but if we talk about in this context, here it means constant. Steadfast, stable or firmly determined. Kindle, to start fire. Desire, wish. Despise, hate. Let's start explaining this poem. But a smooth and steadfast mind, the love which is based on the smooth and steadfast mind, means a mind which is not feeble, a mind which is constant, a mind which is stable, which is firmly determined, where there is no confusion, and gentle thoughts. A person who has a kind heart, a person who has calm desires, means composed mind, a peaceful state of mind, and where we find love in an equal manner, in a same quantity, in a same degree from both sides. If these are the things present, so it will be perennial, the flame of love will never extinguish. Again, the poet says, where these are not, if the love is not spiritual, if the love is not based on a smooth and steadfast mind, if the love is not based on gentle thoughts and calm desires, if there is not the presence of love in same degree from both sides, I hate, I don't like lovely cheeks or lips or eyes, because there is no value of all these things if the inner beauty is not present. My dear children, if you start thinking about this stanza, you will find that the poet has delivered a beautiful theme about love. Generally what happens, that as he has talked in the first stanza, that people, lovers, they concentrate on the physical appearance, they concentrate on rosy cheeks, coral lips or starry eyes, eyes which have the shining of stars. So in this way, that love is not evergreen. He has also told the reason of that, because when a person gets old, all these things vanish, and for them the physical requirements, the physical appearance are the first and foremost things for their love. Those are the basic requirements for the sustenance of their love. And if they don't find all these things, then the love is also fades away. On the contrary, if we look at this stanza, he has talked about the spiritual beauty in a very beautiful and effective manner. He says that we should never run after physical appearance. We should always give importance to the spiritual beauty, because it is perennial. It will also be forever with us. Even if a person dies, that value of thoughts and calm desires, that will remain forever in our heart. So these are the things that are quite permanent, and we should concentrate over it. So I hope you must have grasped the theme of this stanza too, and you must have enjoyed the theme of the stanza. Now come to the format of explanation. As you know that 8 marks are allotted for this explanation. So here we have reference. This stanza has been taken from the poem The True Beauty, composed by a well-known Cavalier poet named Thomas Carew. I have already told you about the Cavalier poets, so you can mention it, it will be good for you. And now the context. In this stanza, the poet condemns physical charms. So you can write it, as I have already told you in the introduction of the poem, that in the first stanza he talks about the physical beauty. So you can mention it here too. Now the explanation. The poet says that a love which is based on physical charms, such as rosy cheeks, lips red as the gem called coral, or eyes as bright as stars in the sky, is short-lived. For some of the lovers, these physical charms are the basic requirements. I have told you. They supply, as it were, fuel to the fires of their love. As the time passes, their beloved become old, and the physical beauty fades away, and the love based on it also dies. So in this way, my dear children, you can explain any stanza, and you can write reference, context and explanation. So these are the very necessary and essential segment of the explanation. Now I am going to tell you that to write about the, you can write also the comments. So if you find any figure of speech in the stanza, you can mention it. As we see, again I am going to open this. If we see that stanza 1, so here we have rosy cheek or coral lip. So here we find that metaphor figure of speech have been used. Now from star-like eyes, it is very clear to you that there is simile. Now pay attention to the word time. Here the T is capital, so you can understand that there is personification figure of speech have been used. So this was all about the explanation. Now we come to the central idea. The True Beauty is one of the famous lyrics of Thomas Carlyle, in which the poet glorifies spiritual beauty and condemns mere physical beauty. According to the poet, physical charms decay with the passage of time, and with the decay of those charms, the intensity of lovers' feeling declines. On the other hand, spiritual beauty embodies in such virtues as constancy, when we talk about devotion, and gentleness. There should be kind-hearted and serenity of mind. A person should have a peaceful state of mind and never diminishes. That is why the poet praises the beauty of mind and soul and hates physical sweetness devoid of virtues. Now we have the central idea. You can write the central idea in this manner. You can also use your own mind and write some more things. So here I have given you a format. How can you write a central idea? Now we will move towards the questions for evaluation. Now dear children, it's time for evaluation. What we have learnt in these two stanzas, I'll ask some questions that what are the things that kindle never dying fires? I hope you must have the answer of this question, that what are the things that kindle never dying fires? The answer can be found in the stanza 2, where we knew that gentle thoughts, smooth and steadfast mind, calm desires, these are the things that kindle never dying fires. What does the poet despise and why? The poet despises rosy cheek, coral lips, star-like eyes. Why? Because these are the things which decay with the passage of time. These are the things which are not evergreen, which are not permanent. Find out the figures of speech in the following phrases: rosy cheek, coral lip, star-like eyes. So, rosy cheek, coral lip, I have already told you. There is metaphor, star-like eyes. There is simile figure of speech. Now come to the homework. This is very important segment. I have already told you the explanation of the first stanza. Now come to the second stanza, but is smooth to waste away. You have to write down the reference, context, explanation, and if you want to add comments, you can add, where you can talk about the language. The language here you can write that language is lucid. You can talk about the theme. The theme is very beautiful. You can talk about the figures of speech that you find. The second question, write your own ideas about physical and spiritual beauty. You can write down your own ideas. Now the very important segment, that is the message of the text, what we have got today. The first thing, this poem inculcates in us a genuine regard for the spiritual beauty. The entire poem focuses on one thing, and that is the spiritual beauty. We should try to imbibe this theme. We should try to develop in ourselves the respect for the inner beauty and the beauty of mind and soul, that is called spiritual beauty. This poem points out clearly that we should not be after appearances because they are likely to be deceptive. Generally, it happens with us that we run after appearances. We don't give importance to the inner beauty. Here the poet says that inner beauty should be given the priority in place of the external beauty. Physical beauty decays with the passage of time, so we should concentrate on the spiritual beauty as it remains forever. So we should run after the things which are permanent, and that's why the poet says that spiritual beauty should be given proper importance. The true love is based on the true beauty, which we call the beauty of mind and soul. Now, my dear children, we have completed this poem. I hope you must have understood this poem. You must have grasped the theme the poet wants to deliver. So this was all about the poem. Have a great time and great learning too. Thank you very much.